republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Just up here a little bit closer here. Welcome, and I just wanted to let everyone know that we did have an executive session before our meeting this evening. And just to let you know, we did not take any action, but we did discuss some personal issues. On that note, we'll start by having a public comment. The chair wishes to recognize any resident or taxpayer of the Sayre Area School District wishing to address the board about title programming or any matter of concern or interest properly raised in a public session. Please give your name and address and the subject of the content you will be addressing, and it's requested that comments be kept to 3 minutes. Moreover, please note that comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of this meeting. Other than that, anyone that would like to come up and address the board at this time? All righty, we'll move right along then. We have a special presentation tonight. Mrs. Crystal Leonard, she'll be presenting some information about the STEM program, which is right back of me. Good evening, Mrs. Leonard.
Good evening. Mrs. Morell asked me if I would come and share with you guys a little bit what we do in STEM at Snyder. So I just put together a little slideshow to demonstrate to you guys some of the things that we're doing. STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math.
Yeah, could you bring that microphone closer, please? Thank you.
How's this? Better?
Better.
So, STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. Some of the things that we cover are things like coding, digital citizenship, Project Lead the Way, and 3D design and printing. So, coding, we use a lot of free programs that are available. There's Codable. 3rd through 5th grade, we've been using Scratch over the past few weeks as part of the PLTW program. Hour of code activities, so the kids tinker, they get a lot of different experiences using code, mostly block coding at the elementary level, but they're getting some exposure and getting some practice learning to do those things. Digital citizenship, we try to teach the kids about being safe online, not sharing too much personal information, and just to be good digital citizens and be careful what they are sharing and make sure that they have positive online experiences. We use the commonsensemedia.org's program. PLTW is Project Lead the Way. That was a program Dr. Delosio brought to us, and that is, we use that in grades K through 5. And they're doing things like pushes and learning about science concepts, pushes and pulls like sound, matter. My 3rd through 5th graders, we've done units that have dealt with or relate to, they've incorporated Scratch coding as part of the lessons that they do, but they've learned about programming patterns, input, outputs, what kinds of things are inputs, outputs. 5th grade, their unit was infection modeling and simulation. And as part of that, the kids did research on different communicable diseases at the beginning of the unit. And it was kind of a timely thing with our spring rotation because one of those communicable diseases that the kids learned about was measles. And then to have that in the news, they could really grasp some of what they were learning about. It wasn't just this vague concept that they were studying. So that was a little bit of an unexpected bonus, teachable moment for us. The last thing I want to talk to you about is 3D printing and design. This primarily we've known with 6th grade this year. And probably 3 years ago, Valley Energy donated some money to us, and so we purchased 2 3D MakerBot 3D printers. And so we finally, after getting back into the library, getting everything settled this year, we were able to use it. The kids were able to do some designing, and we were able to print a few things, and so I have some pictures of a couple of those things on here. The first one, the blue on the left, that was a fail. When I was trying to get myself reacquainted with the 3D printers, the kids had a design. I went to print. In the middle of the print, I bumped the power source under my table, and when you cut the power, it stops all processes. The one on the right was a design that one of the students had taken a design that was in our Tinkercad program and added some pieces to it. And you can kind of see the little eyeballs that they made don't exactly line up. But one of the things that I try to teach the kids, a really nice definition of fail is first attempt and learn. So that was our first attempt, and then we get to go back and we get to rework it and improve the design. We worked on nameplate design. This is an example of a student's project. We use Tinkercad, as I said. And then, so you can see this is where they design it. They can manipulate the pieces, put them together, take things away. You can see the hole that's created in the background piece. That's something else that they learn to do to create that negative space to take something out of a design. So the blue is that design printed. And then the one on the bottom, Paisley's, that is a second project that we did with their names, and that design actually involved using an online converter. So the students created their name, and then they had to convert it from a JPEG to an SVG file, which is what we use in Tinkercad and enables us to print. So the kids got some extra experience doing some conversions. And the very bottom piece that you see on both of those designs, that comes off. That's what they call a raft, so that when we print, that just gives it a solid base to print on. I actually meant to print one of these without the raft, and I missed that click. So it just is a little extra filament that we use, but it gives it a good solid base when we do print, and then that just pops off. And then I will end this with just a short video of the 3D printers. They're nice, they're open, so that the kids, if we're printing jobs and the kids are in the library, they can see them being printed, but it's closed in, so it's safe for them.
What's the material?
Yeah. It's a filament.
It's a PCL filament.
Thank you.
Yep.
And so there you see just a short video there. The last thing that I want to close with isn't part of our STEM, but in your packet tonight, you may have noticed that you have a little, looks like a trading card with an animal on it. This was something that we did in library. Our second graders did this. We did the research in library. They learned about animals that are at the Ross Park Zoo. They went on a field trip last Thursday to the Ross Park Zoo. So before they went, the students worked with a partner, learned about one of the animals. They took one of those cards with them when they went to the zoo. And when they got to that exhibit, they stepped up and they shared with their classmates the facts and information that they had learned about their animal. And all the feedback that I got, the kids really enjoyed it. So we had to tie into something they learned. They were learning that skill of research and finding important details, and then they could take that and share it and apply it to their field trip. Thank you.
You can stay, Mr. Cole. I'm next.
Got one more presentation to offer up. Mr. Handrick, he'll be presenting a summary from the Curriculum and Instruction Committee meeting that was held back on May 6th of this year. Mr. Handrick.
I'm coming. Okay, there we go. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to give you about 2/3 of the summary and recommendations that came out of our meeting on May 6th, and I'll explain why I'm only getting 2/3 tonight at the end here. But we're going to start with our science materials, and just for a little background, Going back to 2019, the state has been looking at replacing our science standards with science and technology and environment and ecology, or in short, STEEL standards. And so they've been in draft, going through, again, all the way back to 2019. And they were a little late coming out in 2024 from the state, but we do finally have them. And the expectation is that we are to implement them fully for the next school year. We did align our cyclo curriculum when we worked on that, made some revisions to that to make sure that it matched implementation. I'm going to summarize. There's a whole lot of documents here. But basically, STEELs incorporate more environmental literacy, sustainability standards, more technology and engineering. The PSSA moves from 4th grade to 5th grade, and it remains in 8th grade. And both PSSAs, 5th and 8th, now include the 4 components that you see there, and each one is 25%. The biggest is inclusion of more life science and environmental literacy. Okay, so that's the biggest change there. There is some more environmental literacy in the Keystone exam for biology, but that is not changing too much. Biology content is still biology content.
Dayton, what was meant by a 3-year implementation? What does that mean?
So they introduced them, people had a chance to give feedback, and then rolled out the pilot version of the standards, training for administrators. I know Ms. Seeley, Mr. Crawl, a number of us went down to the IU to get exposure to the standards and see how they were different. There's a whole lot more inquiry based in them as well. So it was just kind of familiarizing everybody with them before we went to implement them.
And everybody will implement at the same time. Okay.
So our review of curriculum materials, and again, this is where I'd like to just double back when we brought in our new CBA. We created elementary grade level leads, and they were instrumental in helping. Huge difference between people that we had at the table, between our math adoption and science adoption. So I really appreciate that, and that's something going forward that's really helpful, just organizationally. We started this in November of 2024, and the team consisted, as I said, grade level leads, principals, Mrs. Leonard, she's our STEM person. I guess you are a grade level lead too, but so we really had a nice representation, K6, actually K8, and we were looking for a more structured, systemic approach to meeting the new standards, especially at the elementary level where there wasn't really a full science curriculum materials, a set of K to 8 materials. We looked at what other districts were using. We built an evaluation tool / rubric to assist the team through the process. If something didn't align, we removed it. We didn't even consider it. And we piloted lessons or the teachers piloted lessons from OpenSciEd, Amplify, Mystery Science, which is what we had prior to this investigation, and Dimension Science program. Ultimately, we're recommending that we stay with Mystery Science K1, and that is a little bit more exploratory, hands-on videos. The kids don't have to know how to read to learn and do the science. So that's really what K1 wanted, which I feel is appropriate, as does Mrs. Morell. I know she's not here tonight, but and then moving with the dimensions in grades 2 to 6, which obviously that's the new program, and that's what's on your agendas tonight. And then 7th and 8th grade, we're going to continue with what they've been doing, which was teacher-generated content, and they've sort of built their own curriculums that have done pretty well on our 8th grade science assessment. So that's what the team is ultimately recommending we move forward with. Go ahead, Don.
How do we
So it is aligned, and like, one of the things that we've really done is, and we're due to do it again, is 6, 7, 8, for example, I'll just take the middle level. They sit down and look at where they need to be in, from the fifth, well now it's the 5th grade PSSA to the 8th grade PSSA. And you're teaching this in 6th grade, Mr. Clayton was teaching this in 7th grade, and I'm teaching this in 8th grade. And really kind of split up the standards and make sure it aligns.
And all that, I presume all that was done here prior to the recommendation from the committee.
Yeah, the 7th and 8th grade, those teachers have been, Mr. Craig and Mr. Crawl in particular, and Mr. Schuster went to the Steele standard stuff, so yes, they're aware of that. Mr. Schuster does not want to do his own, that's why he's kind of doing dimensions rather than developing his own. And just as a, kind of for the board, I covered this in the curriculum meeting, most curriculums now are K-5 and then 6, 7, 8, middle level. So that's why it's a little, it's aligned, but it's two different.
Well, that's why, I guess, at the end of the day, it's more, for example, I would think, like, say, 2 through 6, are they comfortable that if we're staying with mystery science, that those kids are gonna leave that prepared for what they're gonna be starting in 2nd grade? And then, are the 7th and 8th grade teachers who are doing their own thing, are they comfortable that the dimension science curriculum is going to prepare those kids for where they're starting? That, at the end of the day, I'd like to,
Yes.
I'd like to feel comfortable that they're checking the boxes as
Yeah.
well.
Well, with any, I will say this, with any material that we purchase, there may be holes that as we go through it, we're gonna find, oh, it doesn't cover this standard deep enough. Like, we need to bring something in. That's gonna be with almost any curriculum. It's just,
Yeah,
there's
and
no
I
perfect.
I agree. And as long as they're all comfortable and understand that they need to fill those gaps and do it before the implementation starts, right, so that we're there, then that seems.
Part of this was to bring consistency across the grade
Right.
levels that you're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on science? Right. So we're also exploring supplemental curriculum that would cover the 4 core subject areas for students that are multiple grade levels below their peers. These would be identified special needs students. It's materials that are offered at different levels, but they're on the same content information. So if I can only read at the 1st grade level, and we're studying snakes, it's going to be at my level, my reading level, but we're all doing the same thing. We've had some local districts have been using this with positive reviews, and it really is pretty extensive, the collection of progress monitoring throughout the instruction and use of materials. If a student goes up to the BenQ board and answers a question, it will log, how that student did. Obviously, sorry, I guess I could look at my laptop instead of trying to see around Deb's head. You're okay, Deb. But it includes both online and physical materials, and it's aligned to the PA DLM standards, which are the alternative standards. And this would be in our learning support, life skills classrooms. Dr. TJ, what else am I missing? Not learning support. Emotional support, thank you.
Local districts and just curious.
So the IUs used it.
Tawanda uses it, Athens uses it, the IU classrooms use it.
So, and I just thought I'd put them on the same slide. This is the cost for the materials for 5 years. For science dimensions, that's print and online resources, which is pretty much how everything comes anymore. And those are consumables for those kids in those grade levels. And Teach Town, you can see there's an initial investment. Part of that is set up for the progress monitoring and data collection. Go ahead.
Manipulatives.
Oh, and manipulatives that we would obviously keep. And then because they have an online platform, obviously there's going to buy a book once and then we don't have to look again for a couple years.
Maybe one additional line that's included in the budget, preliminary budget.
Yeah, we budget $80,000 every year for new curriculum.
Any questions on Teach Center? And then, this is the 1/3 that we're gonna touch on next meeting. PA Act 35 of 2024 mandates structured literacy, that we follow a structured literacy approach for ELA instruction. We've been working on that, we've had some letters training, we've done a number of things. And we've been looking at ELA materials. However, I don't think it's prudent as the state is going to issue these are actual quotations here, a recommended curriculum materials list on June 1st. Okay, this would be a huge shift for PE. They've never given a recommended curriculum list because it's just not really our state's way of mandating what we teach. Here are the standards, you figure out how to get there. It's basically how Pennsylvania has historically operated. So I don't think it's prudent for us to make that decision until we see that list with it being so close. So that's why I'm waiting until our next meeting on June 2nd, and I'll be ready to, fingers crossed that it comes out. So I'd rather have it be recommended than not. So that's why I'll bring that part of our meeting to you guys in 2 weeks.
Have any contacts in BDE to?
That's how I found out I was where it's happening.
Why? I mean, asking a very specific question, any chance that that is gonna be on the list that we're gonna see June 1st?
It's based on how they're marketing it. Yes, it is grounded in structured literacy, but I just would like to see it for my peace of mind, I'd rather see it on the list. What else? All right, thank you guys.
And thank you so much, Mr. Hendrick, for your presentation, and as well, Mrs. Leonard, thank you for your presentation as well. You're welcome. Now we'll move along with our agenda down to the consent agenda. We'll start with number 2, which is the minutes from May the 5th. Folks have had a chance to look at that. Number 3, under instruction, we'll be approving the list of district volunteers. Under 3A, 3B, field trip request. Motion to accept the requests as presented in your packets. Letter C, will be making a motion to approve the Sayre High School graduating class of 2025 pending completion of all graduation requirements as presented. Letter D, memorandum of understanding for BMR and ISS classroom. Letter E, the agreement for DARTS software, which will be a motion to approve that the school district in the last IU-17 provide DARTS software during the 25-26 school year as presented. Letter F is the contract renewal for Ed Insight. Letter G, the contract for the purchase of student services renewal for River Rock for the 25-26 school year as presented. Letter H, also an agreement for services Red Rock AEDY program for 25-26 school year. And this is for disruptive youth. And then letter I, the letter of agreement for the Northern Tier Counseling Center for the provision for children and adolescent partial hospitalization services for 25-26 school year as presented. Then we'll go down to number 4, for consent for finance, pay the bills for May 19th, 2025. B, the transfers to approve or May. Letter C, the treasurer's report, including the cafeteria, capital, and federal programs, also the general fund. Letter D, the Berkheimer tax report for approval for April of 2025. Letter E, school solicitor and labor attorney agreement. Motion to approve attorney at law Christopher Lance as the school solicitor and labor attorney at an hourly rate of $175 for the 25-26 school year beginning on July 1st, 2025. And then letter F, for the end of the year, we make the motion to approve Mr. Barry Claypool, our business manager, authorized to make the necessary year-end budget transfers in preparation for the annual budget. Letter G, contract renewal for nutrition group for the year starting July 1st, 2025. And also, it may be renewed, that is renewed by mutual agreement for up to 2 additional one-year periods as presented. Letter H, annual authorization to take action in special circumstance. Down to personnel. Number 5, letter A, the board to make a motion to approve district personnel requests as presented in your packets. Number 6, district policy updates. Final readings for policies number 610, 611, and 614. So we have a motion and a second on our consent agenda.
Motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Questions or comments on the consent agenda?
I just have a quick comment on field trips, letter 3B. I would like for the district to establish some type of district-wide standard for a minimum amount of field trips per year for students. Right now, we're seeing a number of grades who are not attending any field trips whatsoever or don't have any planned. So if we, administration, could establish some type of standard for that, that would be wonderful.
Thank you, Mrs. Blythe. Any other questions or comments? I do have one. Dr. Tejan, if you could help us out with this, if you could tell us a little bit about the River Rock and services that they'll be performing. I know that there's one for disruptive youth. The other program is for like secondary and elementary services. So if you want to give us a quick explanation on that.
Yes, so that is, it's a K-12 opportunity. So they recently obtained their private academic license. So any student that is struggling in our district, we could utilize that as a potential educational placement for them. And then the second one was for the students, the disruptive youth, the ADY program. So there are specific rules and regulations around that program, and that is a 7 through 12 program.
Thank you, Dr. Tejan. Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda?
Ron, how many are in the graduating class?
We have right now 77, am I correct?
I was gonna say 76, we're right around there.
76, okay. Thank you, Mrs. Ely. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We'll move on. I'll get my right page here. Now the roll call items. Number 7. Letter A, the appointment of the superintendent. It's a motion to elect Mr. Michael Wells as superintendent starting July 1st, 2025, for a 3-year term starting with a starting salary that is of $135,000. Copy of the contract is attached here too, and it's incorporated by reference. So do we we have a motion and a second on the superintendent contract?
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments about the contract? Seeing there is none, Mrs. Luchenko, need a roll call, please?
We'll begin with Mrs. Agnew. No. Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mr. Hadlock?
Yes.
Mrs. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Roof?
Yes.
Mr. Skirpon?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes. Welcome, Mr. Wells. Down to letter B. In accordance with section 404 of the Public School Code, the Board of School Directors shall, during May, elect a treasurer to serve a one-year term beginning the first day of July. Following such an election, a one-term from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th of 2026. Do we have a nomination for a treasurer at this time?
I would like to nominate Andrew Hickey.
Any other nominations? Seeing there is none, do we have a roll call for Mr. Andrew Hickey as treasurer of the school board?
We'll begin with Mrs. White.
Yes.
Mr. Hadlock?
Yes.
Mrs. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Roof?
Yes.
Mr. Skirpon?
Yes.
Mrs. Agnew?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes. Letter C, the new curriculum for Teach Town is a motion to approve the purchase of Teach Town curriculum at $13,300 for the first year of a 5-year term. The next 4 subsequent years will be at the cost of $3,700 per year. And these curriculum materials will supplement students with significant cognitive impairments in the 4 core academic areas. We have a motion and a second for the new curriculum.
Motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Questions or comments? Question on here too, Dr. Tejan, if you want to tell us a little bit about the financial terms here, if you want to break that down for us. First year.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
So the first year will be $13,300, and that provides the online resources as well as books and curriculum materials. Also, professional development is included within that cost. And then each year for the next 5-year term will be the additional cost of $3,700. And that really is for the online component and the progress monitoring that will come along with that program.
Thank you, Dr. Tejan. Any other questions or comments? Back to Mrs. Luchenko.
We'll begin with Mr. Hadlock.
Yes.
Mrs. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Roof?
Yes.
Mr. Skirpon?
Yes.
Mrs. Agnew?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes. Down to letter D, the new curriculum for elementary science. It's a motion to approve the purchase of HMH's Science Dimension curriculum materials at $61,084.06 for a 5-year term. And these materials will be the main resource for science for students in 2nd through 6th grades. We have a motion and a second on this new curriculum.
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
And the second. Questions or comments on this curriculum? Let's have a roll call. Mrs.
We'll begin with Mrs. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Roof?
Yes.
Mr. Skirpon?
Yes.
Mrs. Agnew?
Yes.
Mrs. White?
Yes.
Mr. Hadlock?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes. Down to reports. High school principal, Mrs. Healy. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Cole.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Tomorrow's our final day of Keystone exams here at the high school. Hallelujah. We then have the remainder of the week to try and get our makeups done. Things are going really well, and students are working really hard at those tests. Today was our final day of regular classes for our seniors. They will begin their finals tomorrow afternoon, and that will run through Thursday. Seniors were reminded this morning to return their laptops to the carts placed outside of our tech office upon the conclusion of their last final, so that it can be gone over by our amazing tech team and then handed back out on graduation evening for them to keep if they wish. We had a very nice senior athlete and band recognition event earlier this evening, so thank you to all the families and coaches that came out for that. This Wednesday, 6th grade students will be coming over from Snyder to the high school building for a transition day. They will get a tour of the building and information on how things work here in the 7th grade. Congratulations to Iris Copan, who was named the May Artist of the Month. And just a quick reminder, there is no school on this Friday or next Monday for the Memorial Day weekend. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Ely. Nothing from Mr. Howe.
Okay.
Alrighty, and our elementary school principal is here this evening, so we're down to blast IU 17, Mrs. Mrs. Agnew. You're the first one on the list.
I have nothing tonight, Mr. Gold.
Okay, we'll move down to the Northern Tier Career Center where Thursday will be a big day down there with Awards Day. I'll guarantee you there'll be thousands of dollars that we'll be giving to our Northern Tier Career students. That's at the Tawanda High School. The Sayre Area School District students will be at the awards ceremony during the afternoon session down there. So if anyone is planning on attending, it's down again at the Tawanda Area High School Auditorium, 1 p.m. I'm not sure if everyone got a listing for the Career Center, but anyway, the NACI results are back, which is basically they're like equivalents to the PSSAs and the standardized testing, and the performance, which is skills assessments as well as it's evaluated by persons in the industry in the lab setting. The grades were out, and it was 99.6% that were advanced or proficient. The written category, which is always a challenge for students down there, 94%. It's multiple choice questions, proctored by an online assessment. But here's the big thing for the students down there. 94% of the students down there that had reported certificates, their PA certificates of advanced, also with the certificate for competency and competent or advanced and competent. So 94% of our seniors down at the Career Center did achieve those certain levels, and that, like I said, that is quite a score for our tech students down there. I do want to say congratulations to Maslin Van Duzer, as well as Kendra Hyatt, Trinity Johnson, and Sadie Phillips. They were on the National Technology Honor Society as well down at the Career Center. So that's everything I have from the Career Center. As I flip through things, I'll tell you what's going on at PSBA. I was in Harrisburg this past week for Advocacy Day and had a chance to speak with Representative Pickett and Senator Dawes' staff about issues that are facing our school districts. In fact, Mr. Claypool brought up a few things during his budget presentation a couple of weeks ago about BFFs and formulas on how they are taken into consideration for our districts. And that's one of the big things that I did make mention to our representatives, as well as the unbalancing of funding for charter schools as well. And also, I want to give Mr. Claypool and again the entire staff my appreciation for the information that I was able to share with those folks. Also, I had a chance to visit the mobile learning unit. It's getting ready to hit the road, and it's an all-in-one situation for every one of our school districts, including students. This is actually going to be going out on the road. It'll give everybody from teachers to students, the entire staff a chance to go through this learning module. And again, I had a chance to observe this while I was in Harrisburg. And I know Mr. Howie, Mr. Claypool, and a few other of us had a chance to get out and visit the SSI. It's almost built in like that, except it's in a mobile unit. But like I said, they've added a lot of different tools to that. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to get it up here at the Career Center for an entire week. And I would say probably it'll start in the next school year. But this will have a chance for not only for our district, but all of the districts in Bradford as well as Sullivan County to come up and experience that mobile presentation that they have. Like I said, it's really excellent. Like I said, it's like a compact SSI. That's all I can say. Like I said, it's interactive. It's a fine piece of equipment that we invested in here in the state. So that's everything from PSBA. Committee reports. Anyone that would like to give a committee report at this time? This is Blythe.
You're keeping going down there, Felicia. I don't know if you can hear me back there. Okay. I'm gonna use my teacher voice. Oh, and check. Better? Okay. So at the end of this school year, I do an athletic sort of wrap up, so bear with me. So I'm just going to sort of highlight some of the main things in each athletic sport, including rec and junior high. So with football, the football program experienced increased participation, which was great, allowing for multiple JV games, and the team remained competitive against similar sized school, which was wonderful. Nick Pelicano, Mikey Griffin, Carter Green, all standouts as always. For volleyball, senior leadership guided a young, talented volleyball team. This year, Riley Lance and Reagan McGaughy, very key to that team. And with new coaching leadership in place, that program really looks very promising. So we're looking forward to that. Girls soccer, Olivia Thompson contributed significantly to Athens' cooperative team, which advanced to district playoffs. Cross country, Glenn led the cross country team, finishing 20th at the district meet, so good for him. Golf, the golf team had remarkable improvement over the previous year. I'm hoping we can bring golf to the rec level soon. Mr. Claypool. Braden Schrader was honored as the team's most improved golfer. Boys basketball, the boys basketball team secured third place in districts, qualified for the state tournament, and won the Valley Christmas tournament. Nick Pelicano, Honey Trump were named first NTL small school, and Zach Sinise and Ryan Ressler earned second team honors. Girls basketball. The girls basketball team improved its win-loss record compared to the previous season, led by Abby McGaughy. She's an incredible leader on that floor. And efforts are underway to increase participation numbers in the upcoming season, so we're looking forward to that. For wrestling, Jordan Brown made history by becoming the school's first regional qualifier in 9 years. Competitive cheer. The competitive cheer team achieved 6th place at the district meet and secured victories in several tournaments. Olivia Thompson, once again a standout, and received individual accolades. Swimming, once again, that's an Athens co-op, but Olivia Thompson is a standout. Dominic Music and Austin Petrini qualified for multiple swimming events, showcasing a lot of dedication to that sport, so congratulations to them. Baseball, they had quite a challenging season, but their IQ definitely increased as the season went on. They did have a win, I believe it was Saturday, Mr. Claypool, against Sullivan County. And they are looking great for next year. So they're pretty young, but their IQ is incredibly high, so we're hoping for some good growth there. Softball, the softball team secured 6 wins. They also won against Sullivan County over the weekend. Abby McGaughy, who Junior high and rec. There has been a significant growth in junior high and rec sports in this district over the last few years, both in participation and skill development. This young group of athletes is incredibly dedicated, and their coaching staff is just as dedicated. So we're looking forward to future success for them. And our feeder programs, because I could never forget about those two. So Sayre Junior Redskins Football and Cheer and Sayre Little League. Neither of these groups, I'm sure as we all know in this room, are managed internally within the district, but there is a significant amount of growth within both programs to ensure that our junior high and varsity programs stay strong, and numbers are looking incredible. So I'm really proud of those two groups, especially they thrive under volunteer coaching staff and management, and they do very well. So that's it. Well done.
Thank you, Mrs. Blythe.
We're welcome.
Any other committee chair that would like to give a report at this time? All righty, you gotta listen to me one more time here. So, but first of all, I want to say again, thank you for the work of this board and the support that they not only give me, but to the staff and the students here in our district. And thanks to everyone in our district for their fine work as well, from teachers all the way down to the people that clean our buildings here. Again, really appreciate all that you do. I'd like to also take this time to congratulate Mr. Michael Wells, who we just voted to be our new superintendent of our school district starting July 1st. Personally, our applicants were outstanding, and I can speak for myself and probably for a good many here on the board. We had a very difficult decision to who would be leading our district. Like I said, it was a very difficult decision. The choral and band concerts, terrific. A couple of weeks ago, I want to give a shout out to the student performers as well as Ms. Ackerman and Ms. Wenzel. I'll tell you what, I'd like to get both the bands and the choral up here on the stage, because I mean they would blow the roof off this joint, let me tell you. But anyway, the Snyder Spring Fling, a lot of fun up there. I was up there, families and all in attendance. I think they had a great time up there. Many thanks to those who put their time and efforts together to make this a successful endeavor. Congratulations again to our class of 2025 seniors. Make sure you check out our web and Facebook page, and you'll see what the future has in store for many of these seniors, and for loads of pictures and announcements as well for good things happening here in our district. And also be prepared, board, for graduation week. If you haven't gotten a hold of Tammy or anyone from the Snyder staff, please let them know if you'll be attending any of these ceremonies. And like I said, that's everything I have on my report. Dr. Keeshan, you're up.
I told Mrs. Zelia I didn't have a long report. Okay, so good evening, everyone. Senior Awards Night was well attended. Congratulations to everyone who walked away with an award or a scholarship. In total, our students walked away with just under $55,500. So congratulations to all of them. PDE stopped in for a surprise monitoring visit last week during Keystone testing. So thank you to everyone who pulled together and made that impromptu event not so terrible. The Spring Fling, as Mr. Cole said, was a hit and very well attended. Thank you to the PTG and everyone who made that happen for our students and our families. I know a ton of work goes into those events. After the storms cleared, our student athletes with disabilities competed in the Valley Exceptional Athletes Day last Friday. Students really do look forward to this event every year, so I was happy that they were able to participate. Huge thank you actually to Athens School District for organizing and hosting that event. Mr. Claypool, Mr. Henrik, and I attended the All Sports Banquet last night. Congratulations to the Wall of Fame inductees. Some of them are employed by Sayre School District, as well as the senior athletes who received awards. And then I just have a couple of looking ahead events. We have a very busy couple of weeks ahead. May 21st, we are hosting the under Kosman Awards at 6 o'clock. May 22nd, as Mr. Cole indicated, the Northern Ontario Career Center will be hosting their awards ceremony in the auditorium in Towanda. May 27th is the senior banquet beginning at 5 p.m. May 29th is baccalaureate at 7 right here in the auditorium. And then finally, May 30th, sixth grade promotion ceremony and graduation beginning at 7 o'clock, which hopefully will take place outside. And that's it for me, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tejan. And also, I forgot to mention this in my ESBA report, a quick look here. I do have a manual, I think, also down in Harrisburg on school district mandates and their impact on public education. I'll make this available for anyone that needs some reading to do, so I'm gonna browse through this really quickly as well, so I want to throw that in there as well. Other than that, I will make mention that our next school board meeting of the Sarah Area Board of Directors will be on June 2nd, here in the junior senior high school auditorium. That's beginning at 7 p.m. If not, anything from the board that needs to be brought up. Other than that, we have a motion to adjourn.